Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. We are on chapter 6. We will complete chapter 6 and if time permits, we will start chapter 7. So once again, thank you so much for joining and your persistence. Let's start with the prayers. So this is share our vedabase.io website, which I think you're all familiar with, and then introduction, and here are the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay, so we will resume our discussion. So, one second. Okay. All right. So we are on chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, a very, very important chapter. We will continue from somewhere in the middle. Somewhere means verse number 27. It's not like I forgot. But just a very, very quick recap of where we are. I always like to start from at the very beginning. Detachment, which is the large name is Karma Yoga, where doing your work, I think that's this slide. Hold on. Yes, either do Nishkama Karma Yoga, which is detached work, or give up all work completely, which is Karma Sannyasa Yoga, right? But when you do that, you must give up all action. You cannot pick and choose what action I will continue to perform, what I won't. Or perform action, but give up the fruits. That is option A or option B. This chapter is about option A. He is listening with attention. You all agreed, huh? So this chapter is about option B. Okay. Complete focus of the mind on, or complete, it starts with mind control, but at the highest level, even the mind stops working. And that stage is known as the stage of Samadhi, the 8th stage. This is, beginner 7. I mean, even the 7th limb is very high, Dhyana, but we'll still kind of call it beginner or somewhere, end of the beginning or end, whatever. The final stage is Samadhi, where even the mind completely is stopped of any material thoughts. No material thoughts in the mind. Okay, so that was what we discussed so far. We talked about mind control, and the end result is that one is able to see Paramatma in the heart. And what is the form of Paramatma? Two-armed Krishna. No, four-armed Vishnu. So that is the form. This is very specific. It's not just some, child drawing a painting. It's a very specific form that one sees in the heart. Okay. And then results were described that when the mind is completely controlled, which means it has no distinction between anything material. So pebbles and gold, honor and dishonor, everything there's no difference between the two, because honor, dishonor, is it material or spiritual? Material. Pebbles and gold, obviously material. So there is no distinction at a material level at all. Okay. And some process was given about going into a secluded place. Obviously, there is no interaction with others and so on, and regulate the mind, completely free it off. Now, last time, I think we had a discussion with one of the participants. It's not, I should add here, not regulate the mind and desires. One word is missing before desires. What kind of desires should be regulated or eliminated? Material desires, not all desires. Okay, spiritual desire needs to be injected. Material desires need to be ejected. Okay, so get rid of material desires and replace it with spiritual. We'll see what that means. Okay. And then the state of Samadhi was described in these 4 verses, 20 to 23. Mind is completely controlled. Complete control of the mind, which means no material desires. Here I have put material. So it is completely purified or freed. All material desires are ejected. And when material desires, when the mind is completely controlled, misery. Is there any misery possible? Misery is ultimately a function of the mind. Right? The intelligence can access its consciousness, can access the consciousness level. And the soul is fully satisfied and happy at that point. Okay. Then we talked about dealing with setbacks. And this was very important because there will be setbacks. So don't victimize yourself. Just gradually, and don't be in a hurry. It's a gradual process. It will take time. Spiritual progress is not overnight. If the mind gets distracted, bring it back. Okay. So we studied till here last time. Now, I had already said that this is not the process that is ultimately going to be recommended, the Dhyana Yoga process. So why are we studying this? I don't have a slide on it. Somebody remind me to put a slide on that. So why are we talking about this at all? So there were 2 reasons we discussed. Who can tell me one reason?
Completeness.
For completeness. So that if somebody reads Bhagavad Gita, he will come to know Dhyana Yoga process through somewhere else, through some other Vedas. I mean, and other, there are, our Sanatana Dharma is not limited to only Bhagavad Gita. So somebody may ask, so Bhagavad Gita is complete. It contains the complete treatment of the entire Vedas. So somebody should not ask that, what about the Dhyana Yoga process? So it is included for sake of completeness. What is the second reason?
To use it in Bhakti Yoga.
To
use it in the Bhakti Yoga.
Correct. Both of you are right. So to use this in Bhakti Yoga. But there is a but I had mentioned. but not as rigorously. The principles, the concepts need to be used, but not as rigorously. Otherwise, bhakti, we will be converting it into Dhyana Yoga only, which is not recommended. So why would we convert bhakti into something which is not recommended? Bhakti Yoga is in itself. Are you following? But the concepts, the principles would continue to be used, because there in bhakti also some level of mind control is needed. Okay, you cannot be, watching a Netflix series with one hand and, think of Krishna. You don't have that much, you don't have like, you can't do that. Can you do that? No. So you cannot have sense gratification on one end and parallelly, simultaneously do Krishna bhakti. So mind control is needed even there, but not to such a rigorous level. Are you following? Okay, so this is where we stopped. So let us now proceed. So once again, now we are going into the sort of the new portion, which we will talk about this week. Couple of things to please keep in mind. If you have questions, just raise your hands in the Zoom. My hand is raised in Zoom. I don't know why. Last week also this was happening. So don't worry about it. We'll just ignore that. But you raise your hand and turn on your video if possible. Gives a little bit of a more personal feeling, and thanks to those who already turned it on. So I really appreciate that. And most importantly, keep the book in front of you. Here I can see for the people who are in the live in-person class, they have their books. So thank you. Please keep the book in front of you. We'll be referring a lot to the verses. Okay. You can get a book from there if you want. A lot of books are kept there in the corner in that room. Go. You know where it is. Or you can see here, no problem. Okay. So we will start with the new section this time. So now what did we say? So once again, I have tried to put as little as possible on the slides. Please focus on what I'm saying, less on what is written. Okay. What is the attainment? Which form of the Supreme Lord or the absolute truth is attained through Dhyana Yoga?
Samadhi.
That is the state. Samadhi is the state. Who does one see? Vishnu, the forearm, but in what? What is that name? The technical name? Paramatma. Remember that, that's why we spent a lot of time talking about Brahman, Paramatma. But wait, there is a higher level. So I had talked about Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagawaan. I talked about it out of sequence. It wasn't in the verses. Right? So Lord Krishna has still not introduced the concept of Bhagawaan. All right. And Bhagawaan is not a concept. Bhagawaan is Krishna. He is standing in front of Arjuna. The blue colored with a peacock feather, with a flute. Bhagwan Krishna is standing in real, alive and well, right there in front of Arjuna. That is Bhagwan. So, but he has not yet very strongly introduced that point. He has introduced it a little bit, which I have been talking about through the verses. So this section is a very important section, 27 to 32, where Lord Krishna will talk about the three levels. So once again, Brahman level, and I'll go through this quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on this. The Brahman level understanding is that Brahman is present everywhere. Okay. It is the foundation. It's the infrastructure of entire creation. Okay. Now, I don't have better words to explain. It's the spiritual substance, the infrastructure. For the physicists, with modern understanding of physics, you can think of it like the space-time. In, Einstein, otherwise three-dimensional space was there before Einstein discovered. So that's like 3D space all the entire universe exists where? In 3D space. Then Einstein came up with this space-time sort of equality, or so then he gave the name of the fabric as space-time, whatever. That's just an analogy. So Brahman is the entire fabric of all creation, including the spiritual world and the material world. Okay. Paramatma is also present everywhere, in every living entity and in every atom. But Paramatma enters into every living entity and every atom. He enters specifically. Okay, so Paramatma is separate from Brahman. So Brahman is all pervading, it is called. Paramatma enters. And then Bhagawaan is somebody who appears. Appears means you can see him in front of you, or as a person. Okay, so he will be referred to as a person. So these three verses, or these three, 27 and 28, are referring to Brahman. So that we have studied the Brahma Bhuta stage in chapter 5 itself. Brahman was, if you remember, in chapter 5 we talked about Brahma Bhutam Adhigacchati. So one attains the state of Brahman. So that is what is mentioned in 27 and 28. So if you read 27 and 28, you will see these two phrases, Brahma Bhutam Akalmasham. So one attains this stage of Brahma Bhuta stage. So Akalmasham means there is no misery, there is no troubles at that stage. Sukhena Brahma Samsparsham, one is able to experience Brahma Samsparsham. Sparsha means to touch or experience. You cannot still see. The seeing part is not there because there is no form, but you experience, you just feel that happiness. Okay, so these two verses are specifically referring to the Brahman stage. Then 6.29, Sarva Bhutastham Atmanam. So now the specific word Atma has been introduced. With that, what kind of Atma? Which is in Sarva Bhutastham. Stham means inside, situated inside. Stham, correct? Sarva Bhutastham, in all entities, situated in all entities, that Atma, okay, is situated in. So I said it enters, or it is situated inside as an Atma. This is Paramatma. Okay. And if you see the next line there, 6.29, it says, Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. So a person who has attained this Paramatma level of realization, Samadarshanaha, he sees everybody the same, because he sees the Paramatma inside every living entity. Are you following? So 6.29, without saying that this is Paramatma realization, Lord Krishna is referring to it. Now comes the Bhagawaan part. So so now in 6.29, please look at your Bhagavad Gitas. Is there any Mam, Aham, anything like that there? No. No. Correct? Take 10 seconds and try to find Mam, Aham, etc. Anything in 27, 28, 29. Any of those three verses. Can you find? No, right? In 30, how many times can you find it? Just in 30.
3 times.
3?
Okay, 4 times.
So how many times can you find Lord Krishna referring to himself? In 30.
4 times.
4 times. Did you all find those 4 instances? Yo mam pashyati sarvatra. Okay. So one who sees me everywhere. Sarvam cha mayi pashyati. Okay. And sees everything in me. Mayi again. Okay. Tasya aham na pranashyami. Sacha me na pranashyati. So the translation is, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost to him, nor is he ever lost to me. So Lord Krishna is referring to himself so many times in this verse. So this is the Bhagawaan aspect. Are you following? And now if you contrast 29 and 30, 29 is also saying Sarva Bhutastham Atmanam. And here also saying, he is saying Yo Mam Pashyati Sarvatraha Sarvam Chamai Pashyati. So somebody can think that there is Bhagwan inside everybody and there is Paramatma inside everybody. So there may be two entities inside everybody. One is Bhagwan, one is Paramatma. Isn't that what a conclusion one could possibly draw? That Bhagwan and Paramatma are separate, but they are both present in everybody. Like in every house, there is a husband and there's a wife, let's say. But husband is not the wife is not the husband. But in every house, let us say every house has a married couple, has two people inside. Okay, so you can draw that conclusion. Then in verse number 31, he is clarifying that confusion. That no, that's not the case. I am that same Paramatma. So what is he saying? Sarva bhuta sthitam yo mam bhajati ekatvam asthitaha. Whoever is that is worshipped, who is sitting inside, is none other than me. They are one. Ekatvam asthitaha. So Paramatma and me, which he said 4 times, he said about referred to himself in the 30th verse. 31st verse, he's saying that don't think they are different. I am that Paramatma. Okay? Are you following so far? So what have we established through these few verses? We have established that there are 3 levels: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagawaan. Now it has not yet been said who is greater than the other. But everywhere in all of the Vedas, all of the scriptures, you will see it in increasing order. That verse that we saw, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagawaan iti shabdyate. So they are in Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagawaan. So in increasing order, always it is mentioned. So through this analysis, we will see here also it's in increasing order. First Brahman, 27 and 28th verse, 29th Paramatma, 30th Bhagawaan. Okay. Later on in the Bhagavad Gita, 2 more times this sequence will come, 15th chapter and 18th chapter. 15th chapter, again, there will not be anything said about which one is greater than which one. 18th chapter will be very clear. I don't want to jump there. In the Excel size class, we jumped to it, we saw, came back, but that took more time. But I'm telling you in 18th chapter, it will be clearly said, A is greater than B is greater than C. Okay? Guhya, guhyatara, guhyatamam. I'm just giving you a hint. All right? So, but from this sequence itself, we can see in increasing order. And then finally, he's saying, if you think, because Paramatma has been clearly introduced in 6th chapter, don't think that I am different or Paramatma is different from me or I am different from Paramatma. It's one and the same. They are the absolute truth. Okay? Because very soon he is going to start bhakti and he will say, do bhakti to me. So that nobody should have the confusion, oh, what about bhakti to Paramatma? Who should I do bhakti to, Paramatma or Krishna? He's saying there's no difference. The process is bhakti. Okay, and we will see about Bhagawaan. That whole Bhagawaan will be developed. The concept will be developed from 7th chapter onwards. Okay, are you good so far, everybody? Just another concept is being introduced here. So worshipper of Paramatma, please remember this. This word yogi will come in almost every verse till the end of this chapter. Every single verse. From now on, 32 to 47. So the worshipper of Paramatma is called yogi. Just a name. Worshipper of Bhagawaan form is called he's also a yogi, but bhakta. Or you can call him a bhakti yogi. A yogi who is following the path of bhakti. Okay, so it's not a very rigid term, but just remember that yogi refers to, if just the word yogi is used, it means Paramatma follower. Okay, or one who is trying to control the mind through mind control. Or you can say bhakti yogi or a bhakta. Simple. So 6.32 is saying, so does the bhakta or a bhakti yogi not see Krishna everywhere? Only a yogi sees that Paramatma everywhere? He doesn't see, bhakta doesn't see Krishna everywhere? No, that's not the case. Bhakta also sees Bhagawaan everywhere. Can you give any example where a bhakta could see Bhagawaan everywhere? There's a hint on the slide.
Prahlada.
Prahlada. Isn't it? Where did he see Bhagawaan? One specific place which counts in the pillar. The sort of the least place where you will expect to see Bhagawaan, right? And then the simple little pillar, right? The most material thing that you can think of, like made of whatever, stone or whatever, cement. Correct? So inside that also he could see Bhagawaan. Hiranyakashipu asked, where is your Bhagawaan? Why cannot I see him? Bring him. So what did Prahlad say? He is everywhere. Okay, we sing a prayer. What is that? Yato yato yamitato narsimho. So wherever, here, there, everywhere, there is Narsimha. So then Hiranyakashipu asked, is he there in this pillar? So, yeah, sure, he's there in the pillar as well. He's everywhere means pillar is part of everywhere. Then he smashed the pillar. And here Lord Narsingadev came out of the pillar. But that is Bhagawaan form. Bhakta or Prahlad is a bhakta or a yogi? Bhakta. We call him Bhakta Prahlad. We call him Bhaktaraaj Prahlad. He is the king of bhaktas. He is the topmost bhakta. Bhaktaraaj, we call him. Okay. So bhakta also sees Bhagawaan everywhere, but it is not out of his yogic practice, but out of humility and compassion. Okay. Not that I have become such a big yogi, I can see Paramatma and Paramatma. So that kind of person can literally see Paramatma everywhere. These big yogis may be there who can actually see Paramatma, but Bhakta, so they are a little bit proud of their yogic practice. Bhakta is not proud. He is very humble. So Bhakta thinks like this, I am not everywhere. I am not everywhere, but my Lord is everywhere. Just like the mood of Prahlad. And Bhakta is so compassionate that he sees others' misery as his own. He sees that, oh, he's, if he's miserable, Bhakta becomes sad. After Hiranyakashipu was killed, Prahlad was sad, that not sad as in like that my father was killed, but sad for Hiranyakashipu that he got killed because of his such offensive nature. When Narsingadev asked him, what would you wish? Whenever Lord appears, he asks to take a boon. So first thing Prahlad asked is, please forgive my father for all the bad things he did. So he's so compassionate. He's so, even though he tried to kill him so much. Same, I don't want to get into long stories, but Ambarish Maharaja also. There is this wonderful story. Sometime later we can tell. But he was, Durvasa Muni was after him to kill him. But to save the Durvasa Muni, finally, Ambarish Maharaj fasted for 1 year. Can any of you fast for the protection of your murderer for 1 year? If somebody attempted to murder you and to save him, you fast for 1 year. Is there anybody like this over here? Anybody so compassionate? That is a bhakta. Are you following? Highest, that is topmost level. All right. And he wishes happiness for everyone. So this is an indirect reference to bhakti, 31 and 32. That even a bhakta sees me everywhere. It's not that only a yogi can see me everywhere. Bhakta also sees me everywhere. You following? There's a question in the room.
Does that mean it's an indication that Bhakti Yoga is better than the other?
Yes. So the
form?
question is Bhakti Yoga better? Yes, it is better.
So that is what the Lord Krishna is trying to indicate with this, like.
Wait for the last verse. Right there, wait for the last verse. We will cover it today. Absolutely, he will say, Bhakti Yoga is the best. Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam sa me yuktato mato tamo mataha. Yukta me tamo mataha. So yukta me tama. I will tell you a little bit about Sanskrit. Tama means the max. Okay. So during the week, I was thinking of an example, and yeah, those who know Hindi, we say adhik, adhiktar, adhiktam. Have you heard these words? Adhiktar log ye kehte hain. Those who understand Hindi can probably understand what I'm saying. Adhiktar means most of the people say. Adhiktam log ye kehte hain. Adhiktam means the maximum number of people say this. So which is higher, most or maximum? Maximum is the higher word. Tara and tama, that was the difference. Adhik tara, adhik tama. I will talk about this in the last verse. Okay. So yes, that adjective will be used, that the highest is bhakti. Okay. You were raising your hand.
Yes. So if Paramatma and Krishna are saying, why call the worshipper yogi and bhakta in two different names?
So they are the same at this level of 6th chapter,
Okay.
but they are not technically the same. Okay, Paramatma is like we discussed already in the previous verses, Paramatma is not the complete understanding of Bhagawaan.
Right.
Okay, so Bhagawaan is a higher understanding, but at the level of 6th chapter, Lord Krishna is trying to say that if you think that Paramatma and Bhagawaan are two different entities, and you have to choose between them, there is no such choice. It's a false dichotomy. One in the same. But then he will say that the worshipper of the Bhagawaan form is higher. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Yatin. It says that my hand gets raised because Zoom has this feature on the camera that if I raise my hand while talking, it recognizes it's doing too much artificial intelligence. Chat GPT. Okay, I'll lower my hand and I'll keep my hands down. Let's test. How do I lower my hand?
It's next to the raise hand. It's next to the chat option.
Okay, I lowered my hand. So I'm not going to move my hands and let's see if it raises. Okay. Thank you.
Or just raise your hand.
It's okay. It's okay. We don't need to
Test it.
test. Okay. So everybody good so far? Huh?
Yes.
All right. Now, after listening to Lord Krishna for 5 chapters, chapter 1 was Arjuna was talking mainly. So he has listened to 5 chapters, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right? So he has listened to 5 chapters and he has asked questions also in the middle. What about this? What about that? And all those things he has asked. After listening to everything, and if he says this is the highest stage, okay, then I cannot control my mind. He rejects this process. Okay. So after, Lord Krishna must be thinking, after all this full semester of education, the student quits, withdraws from the class. Such a, disappointing feeling for the teacher. I taught him with all my heart and now he's withdrawing. He's saying, I quit. So that's what Arjuna does. So he says that I cannot control my mind. And he uses very strong words. So 6.34 is a very nice verse. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna. He gives 4 names to the mind, mana. So first one is Chanchala. The mind is very chanchal. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna. Pramathi, balavad, dridham. 3 more names. So chanchal means it's very chanchal, like a monkey. Unpredictable. If it's sitting on one branch, you cannot predict which branch it will jump to. Okay? Even he doesn't know which branch he will jump to. He just jumps. So mind is like that. It's just jumping from one place to another. Correct? Like, you are on a YouTube, whatever website, this video, that video, you're halfway, not even halfway done through one. You get all those pop-ups on the side. Oh, let me click on that one. Then when you click on that one, you get a new set of pop-ups. Oh, let me click on. Doesn't this happen?
Yeah.
This is all chanchal man. Mind is, you cannot, and after 2 hours, what did you get? Nothing. You didn't even get one story correctly, fully. They are all anyway stories or whatever, some useless stuff. You didn't even get one useless stuff properly. It is so useless that you could not even get one useless stuff properly. That's the level of uselessness. So mind is so out of control. Okay, chanchalam hi manah Krishna, pramathi, balavad, dridham. These are all, balavad, very strong. Pramathi means obstinate. Dridha, very, strong, and balavad, dridham. Pramathi is agitating. If you try to control it, it will retaliate even more. All right. So, and Arjuna says that tasyaham nigraham manye vayur eva sudushkaram. That it is, dushkar means even harder to control than vayu, than the wind. One can even imagine controlling the wind, but one cannot imagine controlling the mind. He uses such strong words. And who is saying this? This is not some, ordinary person. That's why I put that picture there on the slide. He is a person who can control his mind. What is that picture there? Huh?
So he's hitting the fish.
Hitting the fish at the time of the Draupadi Swayamvar. Isn't it? When he went for the marriage or that whole Swayamvar ceremony. There were all these kings, very, very powerful kings and all that, very good archers. Only he could hit the fish eye. It was rotating, and by seeing the reflection, he could hit it. So such was the mind control of Arjuna. So he's already a very good mind controlled person, and he's saying this is impossible for me. So imagine what is your and my situation. Okay, so that's why I said you have good company. If you thought that all these chapters were too hard, too confusing, how can I do? Is this what Bhagavad Gita is all about? That's why nobody reads it. That's why people give it up. You were right. Even Arjuna is also in the same situation. I give up. Okay, so you are in very good company. And what does Lord Krishna say? Lord Krishna says, I agree. He says, Asamshayam Mahabaho. Asamshayam, no doubt you are right. Whatever you have said is correct. Next verse, 35. Mano Durni Graham Chalam. It is very chala, not achala. Achala means stable. It is very chalam, very, moves from one place to the other. But it is possible to, so I missed one word. It is possible to control. I should fix this slide. Maybe I'll fix it right now. Oops. It is possible. What happened? It is possible to control. Okay. But it is, am I sharing anymore? No. Okay. But it is possible to control by abhyas and vairagya. Abhyasena to kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. So 2 things are needed. Some detachment is needed. Now to fully control the mind, full detachment is needed from everything material. And training is needed. I think I talked about training last week. The example of an elephant. It's a very powerful example. At least I find it very, very relevant. So you train the mind. And how do you train the mind? Gradually and slowly. How do you train an elephant? Or any, and if you have, I never had a pet, but how do you train anybody? You first start simple things. Okay, just make the elephant sit down. Okay, just stand up, sit down. Stand up, sit down. You don't tell the elephant to start lifting heavy logs of wood on day one of training. That's not how you train. You train slowly. First things first. Just do one simple task first. Once that is mastered, then you take the next one. So by simple, that's why it is gradual, and you take small steps in sequence. Okay. So by training the mind by abhyasa and by detachment, so that you don't start doing other things, keep to the training little bit every day, regular. It requires some detachment from doing something else instead. Are you following? So it is possible to control the mind, he says. So Lord Krishna is apparently giving a solution. My dear Arjuna, don't quit. Here is how you can control the mind. So does that satisfy Arjuna? He says, oh yes, I didn't know that, how to control the mind. Thank you for telling me that mind can be controlled like this. I never knew. Is Arjuna like that? Didn't he know these things? Of course he knew how to control the mind. He has already controlled his mind so much. But he says controlling it to this level is impossible. So this is, what is the title of this slide? Arjuna's first rejection. So then Arjuna says, second rejection. Sorry, didn't help. Your answer did not help. So he says, Etan me samshayam Krishna. I have a doubt. Samshaya. So we all will have doubts. And this is the fundamental doubt we will have as you go on your process of Bhakti Yoga, for those who are serious and interested. You will have this doubt. Does this process even work? Or is Krishna just, taking me for a ride? He's just lying, or just wants me to follow. He's just one of those leaders, political leaders. Give me your vote. He's a vote collector, or just a, follower collector. But whatever he's promising, leaders, political leaders, do they ever deliver on their promises? Hardly. So Krishna is also maybe like that. He's promising all these things, but doesn't work. Okay. And finally, he says, this process is not for me. And then he asks, like a good student, I quit. He says, I'm still quitting, Krishna. Sorry, but your answer didn't help. Now, can you tell me which form do I need to fill to quit? Where is the withdrawal form? What are the consequences? Do I have to pay a penalty? What will happen to me now? And if you read the verses, it's like I spent so much time, doing the would spend so much time doing mind control. That time is also wasted. And he couldn't even enjoy material life, sense gratification. Like in Hindi, we say, dhobi ka kutta, na ghar ka, na ghat ka. Isn't it? Neither could he enjoy sense gratification. At least he could have enjoyed that. He spent all his time doing all this mind control stuff. Wasn't successful, didn't get the result of seeing Paramatma or even Brahman. And couldn't complete the process. So the verses are very beautiful in Sanskrit, but I'll just, it says like, doesn't such a person fall away from both the spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud? Like a cloud in the sky, which just disperses. Okay, couldn't give any rain, couldn't stay as a cloud, just, good for nothing. So is that the situation? And what happens to such a person who was neither here nor there? At least you can say that this person enjoyed a lot of sense gratification. So that is he can at least claim some temporary happiness. All right. So very relevant question, isn't it? So now, after saying all this, Arjuna becomes silent and he Now Lord Krishna begins to answer. This is one of the most, I have said here, most inspiring sections of Bhagavad Gita. Very, very, very inspiring section. So this is the portion that I've been waiting to reach. And now we are kind of, picking up pace. So now all the mind control stuff, everything is now finishing. So everybody please wake up now. So Bhagavad Gita is now getting into higher gear. So wake up everyone. So first thing Lord Krishna says that a spiritual seeker is never lost. Spiritual progress is never, never, never lost. Okay. In 6.40, he uses this term, Durgatim na gacchati. Durgati means, Durgati. Gati means destination. Dur means to a bad destination. But in Hindi, there is this word, Durgati means like, what is the, Durgati means like a very bad situation, very, disappointing situation. Durgati means like a completely like a wasted. So Durgatim na gacchati. His spiritual progress is never wasted. Material progress is wasted, isn't it? From life to life. Isn't it? Does your green card carry over to your next life? Does your bank balance carry over to your next life? Does your strength, beauty, all those things carry over to your next, intelligence carry over to your next life? This life you may be Einstein, next life you may be a dog, or even if you're a human being, you may be a, just an ordinary person. Bank balance, you may be Bill Gates this life, next life you would be who knows what. Doesn't carry along. No material things carry from life to life. Obviously, your karma carries all the consequences you have to bear. But your material possessions do not carry. Are you following? But your spiritual possession, whatever spiritual credits that you have obtained, they carry from life to life. It never diminishes. So one is always moving. If you are moving forward spiritually, that is a separate bank account. It's like a savings account into which you only deposit. You may never deposit anything. That's your problem. But if you deposited something, it stays there. It cannot be diminished. It doesn't reduce. Are you following? There's no such bank account in the real world. So the spiritual bank account never diminishes. And if you keep depositing over lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, one day your spiritual credits would be enough to, but you must deposit. You can choose to keep it at zero, in which case it won't grow. So whatever spiritual progress one has made in this life, first of all, stays. And next birth is described. Now, short and long, two categories Lord Krishna gives. After short practice of spiritual path and after long practice of spiritual path. There are two different consequences of the next birth, or what kind of next birth you get. Now, short and long, there is not a very mathematically precise definition. You must have practiced spiritual life for 329 days. Nothing like that. Or 2 hours every day for the next 418 days. Or nothing like that. It's just at a general level. So it's not like you can say, oh, I just sat in Bhagavad Gita class for 1 day. I am now short progress. That's probably too short. Okay. So again, there is no crisp definition of short or long, but still it is very, very inspiring that yes, if you have seriously made some good progress, what is your next life going to be if you weren't successful in this life? And all our acharyas say that even in this one human life, it is totally possible to complete your spiritual progress. But somebody could get deviated. It's not like one was running at full speed and ran out of runway. That will not happen. All right. But you could get deviated. It is possible. We have in Bhagavatam, we have the story of Bharat Maharaj. Bhagavatam is just full of stories which give examples of all the concepts in Bhagavad Gita. So there's this example of Bharat Maharaj. There's also the example of Ajamil. He was also on a spiritual path, but he got deviated. So we can share the stories some other time. The recordings are present on the channel, on the YouTube channel. Of these two are very strong stories in the Bhagavatam. Ajamil and Bharat Maharaj. Both of those we have already covered. We'll cover it again sometime in the future. So what happens after a short practice? So that is covered in verse number 41. So two things happen. So first of all, the bottom line is a human birth or better is guaranteed. Next birth, next itself, not like you will be a dog and a cat and then human. Very next is human or better. So the first thing is he enjoys in the heavenly planets for a long time, which means it's better than human. Some kind of a Gandharva or a Kinnara. There are all these species that are present. May not be a Deva. Deva means a demigod, but there are all these other assistants, other people in the spiritual world. No, sorry, not spiritual world. In the heavenly planets, what is known as Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan. Prapya means one obtains. Punya Kritam, those who do Punya Karma. That Loka, which is that Loka where people who do pious work, or what is that Loka called? Which we have been calling as Disneyland. You do a lot of hard work, you gain money, you go to Disneyland for a vacation. Swarga. So first he enjoys in the heavenly planets for a long time. Is that a good incentive? Yes. And then he takes birth. Shuchinam Shrimatam Gehe. Geha means a house, Griha. In what kind of a house? Shuchinam. Shuchinam means, Shuchi means clean. That is one, but clean does not externally clean. Internally clean, which means a house of piety and purity. Okay. And Shrimatam. Shri is who? Lakshmi. So when it's a rich family. Shrimatam Shuchinam. In such a house one gets birth. What is the meaning of this? The meaning is it's a very favorable birth. Okay. Like a child, you can say that, you have been born in a rich family. You can get all the books, all the textbooks, all the tuitions, all these discourse, all the, rich father can give all the resources to a child so that the child can study nicely. A poor child has to be more dedicated than the rich one, isn't it? To make the same amount of educational progress. Wouldn't you agree? Resources matter. Resources do matter. So once you are in a nice rich family, you don't have to worry, where will I get my next food from? Oh, I have to go beg. I have to do so much hard work. In India, here in the USA, it's not so much seen, but India, small children have to go work hard in a construction site, lift bricks. For what? Just to get some food. Isn't it? So which child is better? A child who is in a nice, well-to-do family where he can, if he wants, he can spend all the time doing useful, productive things for his life rather than lifting bricks. So a favorable birth is guaranteed. This is such a nice, even if you deviate from your spiritual practice. So the moral of the story is, don't give up. This is what Lord Krishna, because Arjuna is ready to give up, isn't it? He's saying, what if I cannot be successful? Saying, no problem. This is never lost. You will continue in your very next life from here. This body has to finish. So body will finish, but your soul will get a new body, a human body, and you will continue. We will see. Some very, very strong verses are coming up. Please wake up, everybody who is listening. Very strong verses are coming. So this is after a short birth. Are you all with me? After long birth, what happens? One takes birth in the family of yogis, not just pious people, good people, but a family of a yogi. Yoginam eva kule bhavati. Kula means what? Family. In a kula of a yogi. So not only you have a favorable material condition, but the whole atmosphere is spiritual. Everybody in the house, mother, father, uncle, auntie, this, that, everybody is spiritually inclined. Obviously, the child will, 99%, unless he's a complete, demoniac person or whatever, doesn't live in his house, lives in the neighbor's house all the time. It is almost guaranteed that he will be spiritually, he'll make progress. Such a nice guarantee Lord Krishna is giving, and he's saying such a birth is very, very rare. Etad hi durlabha taram, not tama, but tara. It's very, very, it's a medium level of durlabha. Very rare. Okay. Okay, just getting birth is enough. What if I'm a jerk? Okay, my dad is a doctor, mom is a doctor, everybody is a doctor, but I just want to play video games and eat ice cream all the time. Will I become a doctor? We have a doctor in the audience, so they're laughing. So, possible, right? It's not guaranteed that the child of a doctor father, doctor mother will become a doctor. There are examples where, he turns out to be a complete jerk. Isn't it? So then what? There is more assurances. I don't know. I'm just trying to stress upon this because it is just so inspiring. And these words are coming out from the mouth of Krishna himself, from Bhagawaan. So this is like, this is undisputable truth. So please try to listen to it with that faith that this is undisputable truth. So then what? 43 and 44 are even more strong verses. So after taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. Not just he took birth, but this person who has taken birth revives the consciousness. Buddhi sanyogam labhate. His intelligence, buddhi sanyoga, his intelligence, labhate means he obtains, or he unlocks. Okay, like you put all your money in a safe deposit box. After 2 years you come and you unlock it and you retrieve back all your money from the safe deposit box. Buddhi yogam labhate paurva dehikam. Previous body, paurva dehikam. How much more clear can it be? It cannot be any more clear than this. So he revives his buddhi sanyoga, his consciousness of his previous life. Okay, then what? Is that enough? No, Lord Krishna goes even one more step. One more step is left. He automatically, and there's even actually a stronger word, helplessly. The word is avasha. You can see here, avasho. Vash means what? Vash mein. Like those who understand Hindi. Maine tumko vash mein kar liya. What does it mean? Attract. I have controlled you. Avash means what? Uncontrollable, or out of control. Which means that even if you are trying to resist, automatically you get, helplessly you are getting attracted. So he helplessly or automatically gets attracted to the spiritual path due to his progress in past life. Purva abhyasena taineva hriyatehi avashopi saha. Because of his purva abhyasa. Is this possible for anything material? No, it is not. But Krishna ensures. So Lord Krishna ensures forward spiritual progress. So almost you have to be it's a no-brainer that you should make spiritual progress in this life, regardless of whether you can complete it or you cannot complete it. Death is just a mere, blip. Okay? You following? Aren't these very reassuring, very inspiring statements by Lord Krishna? So after hearing this, I feel that, in this life, success or failure doesn't matter on the spiritual path. Let's just start. I am guaranteed to end up in the successful, I am guaranteed to end up to reach the finish line now or sometime later. And no cat, dog, fish, earthworm life in between either. Human, 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 human. That's pretty good deal, I think. I feel it's a pretty good deal. Okay. So this is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Are you following? Bhagavad Gita is not just about karmanyeva adhikaraste and all that. These are the gems. I feel, how many of you did not know that this is there in the Bhagavad Gita? So almost everybody here in the room is raising the hand, all the new people. Then we have some old timers, so they know. Okay. So that is 44. Okay, we have some questions.
Yes.
Yatin?
I have a question, Prabhuji. Yeah. Can you expand a little bit on the second part of the verse, 44th verse, where there is mention that such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of scriptures. Can you expand on that part?
Yes, Shabda Brahma Vivartate. So what it means is that Jigyasur api yogasya. So such a person becomes automatically jigyasu, becomes inquisitive, and even if he was on a spiritual path, now there are multiple spiritual, did everybody get his question? There are multiple spiritual paths, okay? He finds out the right spiritual path. He doesn't stay on that given spiritual path, but he finds out the right spiritual path, the best spiritual path for him, which is coming up in another 2 verses. Another 2 verses that will come. And the connection to that, Yatin Prabhu, please remember, write it down in your notebook or wherever. 7.19 is going to be the connection to this verse, to your question.
Okay.
So if your question is not answered by the time we reach 7.19, then ask me again.
Okay.
But the point is, your question is sure to get answered fully by the time we reach there. Ultimately, such a person will come to the path of bhakti. Ultimately, bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevah sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. The same word durlabha is used here also. He gets such a birth is very rare. Finally, he gets the birth of a bhakta. Mam prapadyate vasudevah sarvamiti. Who says vasudevah sarvamiti? Yogi? Not yogi. Vasudevah sarvamiti. Who says that?
Krishna himself.
No, Vasudevah sarvamiti. That Vasudeva is everyone. Is the topmost. A bhakta says that. So basically, one gets the life of a bhakta, or one picks the path of bhakti. All right? Does that answer your question?
Yes, and I'll wait for 7.19 to get more clarity.
Not that one, but till then. Everything from now till then.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, it's a whole gradual sequence. All right. Any other questions? Okay, so let's proceed. So this was the punchline of the chapter. That don't next 45 and 46, that's the punchline. Never give up the path of yoga or the spiritual path. This path takes a long time. Now, this path of Paramatma or Dhyana Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga for many years, then many lifetimes, not just years. Then you say, okay, I have been doing all this Nishkama Karma Yoga. Now I will cease all work. Why do work and then give up the fruits? Don't do the work itself. That is Dhyana Yoga. All this whole cycle takes up many, many lifetimes. So if you see in the verse number 45, it says, Aneka Janma Samsiddhas Tato Yati Param Gatim. So after many births, many births, Aneka Janma. Do you see that? Aneka Janma, 6.45. Samsiddhas, then one gets Siddhi. And one gets Tato Yati, then one gets Tato, then Yati means gets Param Gatim, the topmost destination, which is Moksha. Are you following? So it takes many Aneka Janma. But nevertheless, success is guaranteed. One, you are always making forward progress. Okay? Are you following? Therefore, do not give up the path of yoga. Lord Krishna says, Tasmat yogi bhava Arjuna. Therefore, be a yogi. Don't think of going back to the material world. Some sort of yogi. Then he says this, Tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi, jnanibhyo pi mato dhikaha, karmabhischa adhiko yogi, tasmat yogi bhava Arjuna. He's giving some gradation that tapasvi is higher than jnani, which is higher than karma yogi. But some kind of yogi you must become. Don't give up. Get on the train, spiritual train. From Bombay, if you have to go to Delhi, if you know the geography, or let's say from Portland, if you have to go to New York, get on some train which goes east. Of course, there's no trains going left because there's the ocean, or at least flight. Let us say flight. Okay, don't take a flight to Alaska or Hawaii. If you can't take a direct flight to New York, at least go to whatever, Denver. You'll be closer. If not Denver, go to Chicago. It's even better. You'll be even more closer. Best is if you take direct flight to New York. But at least go in that direction, Then there'll be less time needed for the next flight. Less number of births. That's the point. Aneka Janma is there. As long as you don't take the direct flight, you have to change flights. The question is how many flights? If you go from here to Boise, from Boise to, I don't know, wherever else next, Salt Lake City, then Denver, you're taking too many flights. Then it will be like a 24-hour journey from here to New York. Are you following? So do something, get on a flight. That is the point of 46. Get on some flight in that direction, which is in the spiritual direction. He's telling which one is better. Take the one to Chicago instead of the one to Denver. If you know the geography of United States. Are you following? I'm trying to give this analogy. So, okay. Are you clear so far? Now comes the punchline, the real punchline. So the previous, those 5 verses were the inspiration or the encouragement, true encouragement, not false encouragement. Okay, real, that's all real. But here comes the 47 is the punchline. We'll go through every single line here, every word. Yoginam api sarvesham, among all these types of yogis. Okay, among all these flights to Boise, to Salt Lake, to Denver, you following, to Chicago, which flight is the best? Direct flight to New York. Do you agree? So, yoginam api sarvesham. Sarvesham means among all of them. Mad gatena antaratmana. Mad gatena. Again, the word mad means to me. Gatena antaratmana. In one's antaratma, in his most internal consciousness, which is focused on me, mad gatena, it is directed toward me. So who is me here? Bhagawaan. Not Paramatma, not Brahman. Bhagawaan. Mad gatena, that word is used. Mad gatena. Okay? So that is the first point. Among all these types of yogis, the one who is fully directed to me, mad gatena, antaratmana, in his innermost consciousness. Then next attribute or next characteristic, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. Bhajan. What is bhajan? In yogic practice, bhajan does not make sense. Bhajan, the word bhajan, and yogic practice like a Dhyana Yoga or Jnana Yoga is not called bhajan. Bhajan is basically a act of devotion. That is the meaning of the word bhajan. It's not used for the other spiritual practices. So Shraddhavan, with faith, one who does my bhajan. Bhajate yo who? Bhajate yo mam. One who does my bhajan, Bhagwan Krishna is saying. So two characteristics are given. Mad gatena antaratmana and Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam. These two characteristics are given. What is such a person? Same yukta tamo mataha. Yukta tama. He is the yukta means engaged in the tamo way. In the tamo way means in the best way. So that person, you may be engaged in Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. All of those were described in number 46. All right. But among all these yogis, yoginam api sarvesham, who is the best yogi? Who is having these two qualities or characteristics? That who keeps me in his heart, which is the Bhagawaan aspect. And what does he do on Bhagawaan? Dhyana? No, not dhyana, like the Dhyana Yoga or Jnana Yoga type dhyana or jnana. No, who does bhajan. And both of these are directly pointing to bhakti. Bhakti to Bhagawaan. So they are pointing to bhakti and they are pointing bhakti to Bhagawaan, not bhakti to somebody else, not bhakti to Paramatma, not bhakti to Brahman, not bhakti to anybody else, but to Bhagwan Krishna, Mam, and not to, and yeah, so that is what, and Yukta Tamo, he's engaged in the Tamo way. Tamo means best. Yukta Mataha would have mean he's engaged. Yukta Tara means he's engaged in a better way, and Yukta Tama means he's engaged in the best way. Just the verb is like, good, better, best. So just the verb would have been good, the third level. Tara means better, the verb better, and Tama means the verb best. Okay, so Yukta is the verb engaged in the best way. So now Lord Krishna has established in this verse that bhakti is the best. Bhakti to me, he is saying, is the best. Okay, clear? So that is the punchline. Bhakti Yoga is the highest yoga. And the best kind of yogi is the Bhakti Yogi. So that brings us to the end of chapter 6. So let's see if there are questions. Otherwise, we have a couple of choices. So while you are thinking of questions, and those of you that have questions, you can raise your hand. And my hand didn't get raised, which is good. So I think that suggestion was correct. So thank you. So while you are thinking of questions, there are a couple of options. We can do a quick review of everything from chapter 1 to 6, where we are, take sort of a state of the union. Or we can start with chapter 7. So I heard one response called review. Question? Okay, we have a question. Okay, so questions obviously we'll take first, and then again we'll see if time remains. So I was going to say something else. Yeah, and now we are going to make a big jump from chapter 6 to chapter 7, and I want to share with you what is that jump, the sort of the division of Bhagavad Gita. Now we are going to go into a whole new division or a big section of Bhagavad Gita. I'll explain that after we do questions. Yes, Mataji.
So, Prabhuji, when you said earlier that, like when we do short-term or long-term practice, then we get our next birth, as human, and when we
Human or better.
Yeah, if you are born in a family of devotees, our consciousness, whatever we've done previously, it gets revived. So does it apply to both short-term and long-term, or is it just for long-term? The consciousness getting revived.
Consciousness getting revived is in both cases. Yes, 43 and 44 apply to both short-term and long-term. Okay, it's not just for long-term. But obviously, so I hope you all got the question on the Zoom. Yeah, it is on the overall conference mode. Did you all hear the question on Zoom? Somebody can say thumbs up or thumbs down.
Could not hear clearly, Prabhuji.
Could not hear. Okay. So the question is that this slide that I'm showing, that one revives the consciousness of his previous life and is automatically attracted to the spiritual path. Does it only apply after one falls down from or deviates after long process? Remember, we talked about long practice and short practice, or it also applies to the short practice. So maybe, Mataji is having a doubt. What if I fall after short practice? Will I get a next life where I'll automatically be attracted, or will I have to make extra effort? So, but she's making pretty good progress. So anyway, but maybe, for the others who might fall off after short practice, it applies to both. Now, obviously, the practice would have been short. So that is where you will revive. Okay, so because you only completed short practice, that's what you will revive. So obviously, it is at a lower level than the revival after a long practice. Okay, if you deposited only $1,000 in the deposit box and you go back to retrieve it after 10 years, you will get $1,000. If you deposited $1 million and you go revive it after 10 years, you will get $1 million. It won't diminish, but it will stay what it is. It won't accumulate interest behind your back. All right. And you will still get automatically attracted to it to that extent. So what it says here is that Purva Abhyasena. So how much ever Abhyas you have done Purva in your previous life, that much you will get attracted towards. Buddhi Samyogam Labhate. You will retrieve that much Buddhi Samyoga, that much consciousness from your Purva Dehika. So even little bit. Yes, you will. It's not like there is some minimum threshold that you have to reach before you can retrieve. Even if you deposited $1, you will retrieve $1. Okay.
Thank you.
Very reassuring. No strings, no fine print, no conditions apply, no strings attached. Very straightforward. Okay. Oh, there are some chat items. Let's see. Okay, so one of the participants is saying, let's review chapter 1 to 6. That's good. And are we sitting in this Bhagavad Gita as we are sitting in this Bhagavad Gita class? So, okay, I got another vote for chapter review. We'll do that. Next question that I'm having is, I'm repeating the question. As we are sitting in this Bhagavad Gita class, do you think that we all are continuing the spiritual journey from past life? Not necessarily. That logic doesn't work. Okay, logically, that's not the case. It could be a brand new, fresh progress that somehow got you inspired in this life. Because if it is only the past life that is logically problematic, then you could ask the question, how did I start my spiritual journey in past life? Because of the life before. How did I start in that life before? Because of the life before. Like that, where is the fresh start then? Then it's all just because of your past life. That logic doesn't work. So yes, it is because of past life is one possibility. The other possibility is that you got inspired in this life itself through some means. And last week I covered this. Usually that inspiration is because of your contact with a devotee. Remember that example that I gave of Narad Muni? Yeah. So Dhruva went and performed Dhyana Yoga, but it was inspired by Narad Muni. And that is why not only he got the darshan of Lord Vishnu in his heart, Lord Vishnu came out of his heart in front of him as Bhagawaan as well, and he got darshan of Bhagawaan. That was the mercy of a great devotee. Now, whose mercy contact you get, kripa, mercy means kripa in Hindi. Whose kripa you get is also important. Okay, if you would have got Narad Muni's kripa, then you would not be here in the Bhagavad Gita class. Maybe you would be in the Bhagavad Gita class, giving the class, and I would be sitting there and listening. Getting kripa of Narad Muni is just too great. Okay, so, but you definitely got some kripa from some devotee, which you cannot see Bhagavan Vishnu today, but at least you can hear his words through Bhagavad Gita. Some kripa was there. And that kripa is unconditional. It just happens. Okay. That is why devotees go around giving kripa, distributing. Whoever wants, please take, please take, please take. So sometime it fructifies. So in your mind, it fructifies. Then the thought comes, oh, there's a Bhagavad Gita class. Let me go to it. So that inner inspiration comes through the kripa of a devotee sometime, which makes you take that first fresh step in this life. So it is possible that you take that fresh step in this life. I'm telling you the cause of that fresh step as well. It may appear to you as a fresh step. Of course, it could be past life, which it will still appear to you as a fresh step. But I'm telling you the theory behind it. It could actually be a first fresh step, or it could be your past life. And that first fresh step also has a cause. Past life obviously has a cause, past life. All right. So I hope that answers the question. Okay. I hope that answers the question to the person that asked. Okay. Next question. Okay. I'm already seeing a FAQ here. Frequently asked question. When we sometimes see bad things happening to good people, this is a bad things happening to good people is a very punchline. Why do bad things happen to good people? Is it because the good people were not so good in previous life, or they did some bad things in previous life? So again, same answer, exact same answer applies. That yes, it could be because of your bad karma in your previous life or this life. Who knows? We are all very good as human beings of remembering the good things we have done in this life, isn't it? I did this for this person, I did that for that person, I did all the good things. We are all holy cows. So we are very good in remembering good things in this life, but we are very poor in remembering all the bad things we have done even in this life. Obviously, we don't remember past life. So that could be either one. That could be the cause. Or one could simply be a victim of someone else's bad actions, fresh bad actions. There are demoniac people out there in the world, and they could inflict harm on you just because they have the situation, the power to do that, and that power comes from their past credits, what they may have, but they choose to harm other living entities. So you could be a victim of that. an innocent victim. So both are possible. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. And the cycle of karma starts at that point in that case. Then next time, somehow in this life or in next life, nature or Yamaraj or, Lord doesn't have to arrange. He's above all this petty cycles of karma. He has delegated it to Yamaraj. So he will arrange that in such a way, or, to Mother Durga. Yamaraj is the decider. He's the judge. The administrator is Mother Durga. So she will arrange a situation where you will get a chance to get even with that other person. And then you will have a chance to go through with it, or you have a chance to forgive. That's your choice, your free will. So free will is there. You get a free will to choose whether to go through with it or to forgive. If you forgive, you break that cycle. If you go through with it, then next time, then it starts. Why did you hit him? Because he hit me. Why did he hit you? Because he hit me first. Then it has to go back to birth when two brothers fight. No? Then parents lose track who hit who first. And then, parents say, oh my God, just forget it. You guys deal with it. So it can go back very, very far. Okay. So one of the people have to choose to break the cycle. And that is the knowledge we get from Bhagavad Gita for forgiveness. Kshama. Kshama is a big topic of Bhagavad Gita. Forgiving. Okay. Next question I have on the chat. I'm just going to read it aloud. Through various lives, one may have made progress through different kinds of yoga. Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, etc. Do all yogas count equally towards future spiritual progress? No. No. Just now in the 6th chapter, Lord Krishna says, I'll just read the translation of 6.46. A yogi is better than an ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. There is a sequence given. Okay. Therefore, O Arjuna, be a yogi, be in all circumstances, be a yogi. So Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga is at the lowest level. That's why it is called Yoga Ladder. We have not gone into detail into that whole thing in this fast. This one is a fast paced or like a course. It's known as a Yoga Ladder. How do you jump to can you just jump to the 4th step in a ladder? I mean, you can, but you may fall. It's not recommended, right? Especially if the gap between the steps is big. So you go on the 1st step. That's the meaning of a ladder. Ladder means what? Take the 1st step, then you take the 2nd step. Isn't it? That's the meaning of the word ladder. So this is known as Yoga Ladder. So the lowest rung is Karma Yoga, then Jnana Yoga, then Dhyana Yoga, and finally Bhakti Yoga. However, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga are in sequence. Typically. And even Bhakti Yoga is in that sequence actually. But Bhakti can be practiced directly, which is the section we will cover now from 7th chapter onwards. So there is a sequence that is correct. And that is why Lord Krishna 7.19 will say, again, wait for 7.19, where he will say, Jnanavan mam prapadyate. Bahunan janmanamante, Jnanavan, all these jnanis, Jnanavan, various types of these dhyana yogis, that includes dhyana yogis as well. Mam prapadyate, they ultimately surrender or they submit to me. Prapadya is an important word. We talked about it in 2.7. Shishyasteham shadhimam prapannam. This prapannam, prapadyate, they are all coming from the same root, which is to submit, to take shelter of, to take sharan. So taking sharan is a act of bhakti. All right. So I hope that answers that question, that do all yogas count equally towards, in that sense, I mean, in one sense, they count equally, that you are progressing in the right direction. The direction is the right direction. That is equal. Whether from Portland you go to Boise or you go to Denver, it's like more or less going eastward. You're not going to Alaska. All right. Or you're not going north or south to Los Angeles. You're going in the right direction. In that sense, they are equal directionally, but they are not equal as well. I hope that answers, that helps. Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay, so we will do a review of the important concepts of all the chapters covered so far. Just some important concepts. Okay. So I don't have slides for this because I just came up with this idea since we didn't have enough time to kind of start a new chapter. It's just a sort of a runtime extempore idea, but we'll just go from the book. There's something else on the chat. Okay, nothing. And then I will spend last 2-3 minutes covering the, or last 5 minutes covering these sections, the various 3 important sections of Bhagavad Gita. So please wait till the end so that you will start 7th chapter with a, the background, certain background. Okay. So first chapter, the first thing that we discussed was our attachments. That is the easiest thing, not that easy, by the way, but hopefully if you have been, so my request is for you to go back and read Bhagavad Gita again. There is no alternative to reading it again and again. And if you feel connected through this class, it's always like, sometimes, what the teacher told is more like in the brain, in the head. So the videos are there. Go listen to it again, whatever you connect with, whichever way you connect with, it's up to you. Different people connect in different ways, but review is very important. So, and application. So attachments among everything is easy to identify. So identifying our attachments. And then from that, identifying our identity. And then further identifying that this identity is a material identity. It will be finished at the end of this life. Absolutely, it will be finished at the end of this life. We discussed that whole thing about I am Indian versus I am a Britisher. Somebody may identify a soldier, very brave soldier may identify as Indian, like Subhash Chandra Bose. Indian. What if next life he takes birth as a Britisher? His whole Indian identity is gone. Now he has to start afresh. So identity is tied to the body. And that is why Lord Krishna talks about the soul. Identifying yourself as a spiritual entity, not just this body, that there is a spirit soul inside. And the another important aspect of this whole discussion of the soul is to prompt us to think long term. If your child or your friend blows away all his salary, let's say he gets paid once every month. Sometimes you get paid every week or every 2 weeks, but let's say you're paid every month. Okay. And your friend blows up all your salary in 2 days. His salary in 2 days. What would you call him? A spendthrift. And if you advise him and he still keeps doing that, what would you call him? Huh? Foolish. Right? Why? Why is he foolish? Because he's not thinking of the remaining 28 days. Isn't it? If he got X amount of salary, he should think, okay, I should spend 1/30th at most because I have 30 days. Maybe save something for the future as well. So maybe spend even less, whatever, We all live like that, isn't it? Otherwise, you're called foolish in terms of managing your money. Similarly, we manage our karmic balance in realizing that there is a future life after this one. There's this famous saying in some movie I saw, oh, I have committed one murder. So let me now go and, kill more people. What can you do? The punishment for one murder is capital punishment. The punishment for 100 murders is also one capital punishment. So now, I have a free, that's not the case. That person is only thinking with respect to one life. What about 100 lives after that? So it prompts us to think long term, that there is life, beyond this body. You must have a long-term view. Don't be a fool like you would tell your friend who spends all his money. That is one very important concept. Okay, from second chapter. Then second chapter goes into Nishkama Karma Yoga. It starts with detachment. Detachment, one of the important concepts in detachment is tolerance. So tolerance and detachment from sense gratification. We have been conditioned for sense gratification from many, many, many lifetimes. Even a dog is doing sense gratification. You show a bone and he will run like crazy towards the bone. That is sense gratification. Okay. So to detach ourselves from this sense gratification so that we can focus on spiritual life. Our mind has a limited capacity. The more we fill our mind with sense gratification, that much harder it is to use the mind for spiritual progress. Mind is to be used for spiritual, you need the mind for spiritual progress. There is no doubt. You cannot do spiritual progress without the help of the mind. Even bhakti. Okay. So detachment was a key concept of second chapter after the concept of the soul. There were many other concepts, but this was one concept. And detachment, especially from the fruits of your work. So in the second chapter, Lord Krishna did not focus on giving up work. That was the topic of sixth chapter. At the very end, he talked about giving up work. But for most of us, giving up work is not the option. Giving up the fruits of work is possible. Third chapter was about Karma Yoga, doing our duty as a matter of duty. Okay, and some of the key points of third chapter were the law of karma. Why you should do your duty in a dharmic way, not in a sinful way, in a dharmic way. So that because there is law of karma, you will reap. The simplest form of law of karma is thou shalt reap as you shall sow, or you shall reap as you sow, whatever. Okay. So performing the activities in the dharmic way so that you reap good or sweet fruits. But later on, the third chapter develops into giving up those fruits. So second chapter was a summary of the entire sort of Bhagavad Gita, but mainly focusing on detachment. The third chapter developed this concept of detachment even more. Detachment from the fruits, law of karma and detachment from the fruits. And there were other topics like setting an example. If you think that, yes, I am doing everything, I'm a good karma yogi, continue to do that. If not for anything else, then to set an example for others. And one of the important verses of third chapter was Yagya Shishta Sina Santo Muchyante Sarva Kilbishai Bhunjate Te Agham Papa Ye Pachantya Atma Karanat 3.13, which says that even food, if you consume without offering to the higher authorities, so that concept of offering back, dharmic action, nothing is free. Everything has been given to us. We are not the producers. So one of the fundamental points of giving up the fruits, why are we being asked to give up the fruits? Of course, it creates the space for spiritual progress. That's what we discussed. If the mind is always focused on fruit, 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 that is sense gratification. Then you start to do work for the fruit. Your mind is fixated on the fruit. Isn't that how we live our lives? We always live, we do something in order to. The word in order to, hetu. It's always a hetu, haituki. So we live our lives in order to, correct? Even as a parent, you raise your child also sometimes with some feeling, oh, when I will grow old, the child will support me. There is that, some parent-child relationship is very pristine, very, selfless, but sometimes that little selfishness is there even in that relationship, right? In order to, but the other reason is that we are really not the cause of the result. We are not the full cause of the result. We are partial causers. Causer, you understand? Is there a word like that, maybe? Or a partial causers of the result. Too many other things have to come together for the result to happen. We gave the example of what? We used farmer. He can sow the seed nicely, everything, but if the rains don't happen, if the insects didn't come, if the goats and rabbits didn't come and eat up all the crop, finally then he will have a good crop and he will make a good profit, right? So a lot of things have to come together for him to get a profit. So he is not the only cause, he is a partial causer. So these are some of the concepts of third chapter. We also discussed about how krodha, how this attachment leads to krodha. That was a very important aspect. Our attachment, if it doesn't get fulfilled, then it leads to krodha, frustration, and finally krodha. In yesterday's class, in the Nectar of Instruction, which we just started a new book, we had a decent enough discussion on krodha. So you can go look at that if you want. So that is third chapter. Then the fourth chapter goes into doing nishkama karma yoga, but with the knowledge of how the whole process works. But in the initial few verses, specifically 15 verses in the beginning, Lord Krishna is talking about jnana, or the knowledge, not about nishkama karma yoga, but about himself, knowledge about Krishna. So that is bhakti. Knowledge about Krishna. Knowledge, jnana, can be about anything. In the second chapter, there was Atma Jnana or Sankhya Jnana. Jnana about how Atma works and this whole, Atma goes from one body to another to another. Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara. So like that. The initial portion of fourth chapter talks about Bhakti Jnana. Jnana about Bhakti. And the remaining portion talks about Jnana about karma. And then Lord Krishna describes three types of karma. Karma or sukarma, vikarma, and akarma. Akarma means that kind of karma which does not attract any reactions or any fruit. Sweet action results in sweet fruits. Therefore, perform sweet actions. Sweet actions means what? Dharmic actions. Sour actions produce sour fruits. What are sour actions? Sinful actions. Sinful or vikarma. And then there are actions. You will perform actions, but when performed with this knowledge of karma yoga, then they are called akarma. Okay. So this whole topic was discussed, and a very important aspect that was also discussed as part of Dhyana Yoga was to approach a guru and to get jnana from a guru. And the important aspect of jnana from guru versus jnana from book or jnana from YouTube video. YouTube video also, a guru can be sitting and speaking. What is the difference from in-person guru versus YouTube guru?
No interaction.
Ah, very nice. You don't, it's one way, unidirectional. You cannot ask on YouTube. So Zoom, yes, you can ask. So we can say Zoom falls in the in-person category, so to say. I still like in-person, but still Zoom is at least two-way. So the difference is between one-way and two-way. Books or anything that is one-way is good, but the best kind of jnana is two-way. And two-way also there where one is really able to see you. Guru is not just a teacher. This is now extra I'm adding, which we I think discussed in the 4th chapter, but it is not in the verses. You think of Guru as a teacher, right? I'm going to use a different word. Can any of you guess what that word is?
Mentor.
I'm looking for a different word.
Guide.
Hmm?
Guide.
Okay. I'm going to say I like cricket.
Coach.
Coach. Yes, coach. Even Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli, they are the best. You know, even the coach may actually not be able to play as good as Sachin Tendulkar, but he still has a coach. Okay. So a coach is not he doesn't need any knowledge. Let's say cricket. Let's say assume I haven't seen, but let's say there's a book how to play cricket. Let's say the topmost player knows all the theory. So the guru is not just a theory teacher. Please try to understand that the role of guru, of course, is to teach theory if the student doesn't know it. But the role of guru doesn't end if the theory has been communicated. Then say, okay, thank you, I don't need a guru anymore. That is not the case. Guru then becomes a coach, where he gives constant feedback on your practice, on your training. Constant. And that lasts forever. Till the point Virat Kohli or Sachin Tendulkar or whoever was playing, they had a coach. Do you agree? Even though they were already the best player. So that is the role of a guru. So that is 4th chapter. Okay. And then 5th chapter talks about the result of doing Nishkama Karma Yoga perfectly. And in summary, the 5th chapter talks about the Brahman realization. So I think towards the end of 5th chapter, I covered this concept of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagawaan. To introduce this thing called the end result of Dhyana Karma Sannyasa Yoga is Brahman realization. Then in 6th chapter, so that was the point, but the most important part of 5th chapter, which kind of connects to the rest of Bhagavad Gita, is the last verse. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam. Again, the word mam comes once there in that verse. Shantim rachati. So one who knows me to be the overall controller, to be the overall receiver or the overall provider of everything, and to be our best friend, he attains that same Brahman realization. Shantim Rachati is referring to that Brahman Nirvanam Adhigachati, what had been talked about in the previous verses of 5th chapter. That is the state of perfect Shanti. That same Shanti can be achieved through Bhakti of Bhagawaan. So that's where the 5th chapter ended, with the result of this process is Brahma Nirvana. 6th chapter is talking about the even next higher stage of Nishkama Karma Yoga, where you don't have to do even the Nishkama Karma Yoga part. No karma. Okay? Not just Nishkama. Kama means fruit. Result, right? So it is Nishkarma, you can say. Not Nishkama, Nishkarma. No karma itself. Or Dhyana Yoga. I invented that word, Nishkarma. It's not a technical word, but I'm just making the point. That is Dhyana Yoga. So that is 6th chapter, which we covered today, where you cease all action And the result is Paramatma realization. You get to see Paramatma in your heart. And finally, in the 6th chapter, we talked about that this process is very hard, at least as per Arjuna. And we also find it very hard. So Lord Krishna will now, so in the last 5 minutes now that we have left, let me summarize the sort of the overall Bhagavad Gita. So now Lord Krishna will say that, or Arjuna has said, this doesn't work. So Lord Krishna says, okay, till now I have taught you Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. These 3 yogas I have taught. Pick one and start going. So far. In the last verse, he gave a hint about bhakti. Yoginam api sarvesham mat gatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. So that one is the best. So he's giving a hint and he will expand on that in the next several chapters. But the point he is making in the previous verse, just the previous verse, is get on the flight, eastbound flight. Get on the flight. At least you will go in the right direction. Okay? And don't worry, you will make forward progress. You can't go back. Once you have gone east, you can't come back west. In this case, okay? So all that has been described by Lord Krishna, but Arjuna thinks that it's not making sense, or it's too hard for him to do. It's easier to control the wind than to do all this. So now Lord Krishna has covered all the other aspects of yoga, and the best one, he has saved it for the last. So these first 6 chapters, we have completed 6 chapters, are pertaining to karma. And who does the karma? The jiva does the karma. Okay? Using the body. Mind is also part of the body. Mind is not different from the body. The body constitutes 8 elements. The 5 what are known as physical elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And then 3 subtle elements which you can't see. Air you can see, earth you can see, water, fire, ether also you can see. We'll talk about it in the 7th chapter. And then there is mind, intelligence, and ahankar, what we call false ego. These are not perceivable by physical senses. You cannot see the mind, intelligence, or ahankar. But all 8 are part of the body. And then there is the soul. Okay? So the first 6 chapters are talking about the relationship of the jiva, the soul, with his body. Please listen to this. I'm giving you an overall understanding of all the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. First 6 chapters are about our jiva's relationship with body, which includes the mind, that which you saw in the 6th chapter itself, mind control. Next 6 chapters will talk about the jiva and his relationship with Bhagawaan. So first was body, deha, then Bhagawaan. So that will be the topic of next 6 chapters, and the process also. So here with the body, the process was threefold: Nishkama Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. Okay, which is basically an increasing level of the same fundamental process. Then the next 6 chapters are Jiva's relationship with Bhagawaan, and the process is Bhakti Yoga. So in next 6 chapters, a detailed discussion of Bhakti Yoga will happen, and who is Bhagawaan, and what is my Jiva's relationship with Bhagawaan, and what is the process. So Jiva, Bhagawaan, and the string that is connecting Jiva with Bhagawaan, which is Bhakti. Okay, that is the subject matter of next 6 chapters. And this process will make, at least in my view, and many people's view that I have taught and I have met and interacted with, and those that have taught me, is that this is so straightforward. You really can get it. It won't be confusing. What am I to do? It's not making sense. What do you mean? None of those questions will be there. It's very straightforward, very understandable, and makes sense. Just it's simple makes sense. Okay. So our relationship with Bhagawaan, that is the next 6 chapters. And the last 6 chapters are Jiva and his relationship with, who can tell? Jiva and his relationship with Prakriti. Prakriti means this world. Okay. Because bhakti is not performed where? In the spiritual world. Yes, it is performed there as well. Are you all in the spiritual world? Anybody here from spiritual world? No, right? You're all in Portland, New York, wherever, right? India. So we are in Prakriti. Maybe somebody's attending from the moon, somebody's attending from Mars, maybe. But still, it's part of Prakriti. So we must understand our relationship with Prakriti as well, with this material nature, the material world, what we call. Okay. And how to use our situation where we are ultimately to perform bhakti. So everything we connect back to bhakti, not only we as me or as your special teacher who will twist and turn the words of Bhagavad Gita. No, Lord Krishna, I will show you directly from the verses. He connects everything to bhakti. In the verses I will show. So in the first 6 chapters also he was connecting to bhakti. Next 6 chapters, 7 to 12, will be all about bhakti. The word mam, like you made you count 4 times in one verse, that 4 times will now occur like every other verse will be like, it will be full of Krishna. You know, you will be drenched in Krishna for the next 6 chapters. You will be like swimming in the Krishna pool. You cannot miss it. So next 6 chapters are all about Jiva and Bhagwan. And the final 6 will be about Jiva and Prakriti, so that we can perform bhakti by being in Prakriti. And then when we go out of Prakriti, then you don't need Bhagavad Gita. Then you are already a Bhagavata. You are a living Bhagavad Gita. You can be a living Bhagavad Gita even in this Prakriti, but then you are like already like a Jivan Mukta, it is called. Sadhana Siddha. Sadhana Siddha means by your practices you have become Siddha, even though materially you are in the material world. But to get there, you had to use the Prakriti in the right way. Like, it is said, if you get a lemon, make a lemonade. You are dealt with a bad deal. Now make the best of the bad deal. So that is why you need to know how the bad deal works. And that bad deal is what? Prakriti. Okay. So that is how the whole Bhagavad Gita sort of is divided into these 3 sections. And next week, we will start with 7th chapter. We'll go into a whole different space about Bhagawaan. Now, Bhakti Yoga and Bhagawaan and the sort of the real substance to which we have been all building up will come. All right. Let's see what questions, some chat messages are there. Okay, one question is there. I had a question about vairagya response from Bhagawaan. It is the detachment here from material world intended, or is it detachment from the fruits of action, or all of those? Detachment primarily from the fruits of action. Detachment from action itself. So technically it is both. Detachment from action or from fruits of action. But for somebody like it, you go back to the beginning of 6th chapter, 6.3. for the beginner level or for somebody who is not perfected at performing no action at all. That is also giving up of action and the fruits, of course, is the highest level. That's the Dhyana Yoga or Samadhi level. But the stage previous to that, which is Nishkama Karma Yoga, is also fully capable of leading to spiritual progress. Just by performing Nishkama Karma Yoga, you can get spiritual liberation or liberation from this material world. It is not something that is incapable of providing spiritual liberation or liberation from this material world. So it could mean both. It depends on the level of the sadhak or the level of the practitioner. So wherever you are, you perform the vairagya. But in this Kali Yoga especially, none of this matters anyway. As we will see in Bhakti Yoga, full vairagya is not recommended. There are going to be the fruits, and you can enjoy the fruits. Again, don't what do you say? Take my words out of context. I'm not talking about enjoying the fruits, but enjoying the fruits as prasad. Just to be clear, we'll clarify all this as we go along. Okay, so we enjoy prasad, which means the fruits that have been sanctified by the touch of Bhagawaan. That we can enjoy. Okay, anything else as we close? Okay, so we will end here. I don't see any more questions. Thank you so much for being on this journey so far. Please join next Sunday, same time. And in the United States, the time has changed to daylight saving. So India time, you can do the appropriate conversion. And thank you so much. We'll start with chapter 7 next time. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.